job of selling your parents' home or another loved one's home, either due to a death, maybe they've deceased, maybe they've been put in a memory care facility or an assisted living. Have you wondered, where do I start? What do I do with all the stuff? Because there always is a lot of stuff. Hi there, it's Carol. I'm with Murray Moves, Michigan. Here? Well, maybe over here, depending on which way you're looking at it. And the Proven Property team out of Keller Williams Lakeside. I'm here to provide you with the 5 steps I believe you should do before putting your loved one's home on the market to sell. So, I understand it could be a very overwhelming experience selling the home of a deceased loved one's, or as I had said, if somebody is moving into a memory care facility, it's tough. There's just a number of things that you're going to need to be leery about. So let me start right from the beginning. Number 1, you want to ensure to make the transaction as smooth as possible and to prevent any legal issues, because I am not an attorney by any means, and I don't want to give you any legal information here, but you want to verify who owns the home. You want to verify that it is truly, who is on the deed of record is truly the person that you're selling the home for, or the estate. So there are different ways that things can be titled. You know, you may think it was just in their name alone, or their name with their previous partner, husband, wife, somebody that had passed on before them, and then it automatically quit claim to them. But if that is not the case, it could be in an LLC. They might have put it in a trust. They could have quit claimed it to like 5 other siblings, or the niece. Who knows? You don't really know. So if you are left with the job of being the executor of the estate or the job of selling the home, I'm pretty sure that you have, I would assume, a pretty good grasp on what you have to do. But I would say start with an attorney if you don't have a copy of the recent public record, and even public records don't even show it sometimes. So you may want to consult an attorney to be sure that that information that you're looking for, the deed of record, that it is who you say you're selling the home for. And if you're an executor, you probably have power of attorney. But like I said, be careful with that and make sure. So you can either do that by talking to an attorney, you could either do that by talking to a title company, and you could even do that by reaching out to a real estate agent who can connect you with the title company. So that would be my first thought about what you should do. Number 2, while this process is going on, I'm hoping, because it's the right thing to do, that you're keeping up with the current bills at the home. I'm not talking about their personal bills, but the water, the electricity, the gas, anything like that. You may want to be sure that you have a good track on that, because God only knows. You don't know if they had paid the bills in the last few months. You don't want the power being shut off right when you decide to start showing the house. So just, try to keep that in mind. Also, there's like trash and association. So don't forget, if they're an association, they may have a monthly bill, especially if they're a condominium. If not, then the association just could be a homeowners association. And usually that's, they're a little more lenient on when the dues are due, because if you don't pay the dues for the actual homeowners or the condominium associations, then you could have some real issues. They could put a lien on the property and all that, but we don't want to go into that because you don't want to do that. So pay the bills. All right, number 3, how to handle the personal belongings, the mementos, items of sentimental value, cherished items, things that your loved one has had and has spoken about maybe handing down to so-and-so once they pass. But I just want to give you a warning and a little bit of a disclaimer. If they have a will or they have a trust, if they added codicils to the will or the trust, meaning they had decided later on they wanted to add something to give to somebody else, you want to make sure you have all that information, because basically you don't want to give away the dining room table to somebody that was supposed to get it and knew about it. You don't want any legal issues, and believe you me, there are many families that have issues with that. So I would say, if you're looking at all that stuff, you got to prepare to get rid of it, but what you want to do before you get rid of any of that, you want to make sure none of that has been spoken for by anybody in some legal document, okay? That would be the first thing. So the other thing is that the other stuff that is not, there's a couple of ways to take care of it. You can empty out the house before you decide to sell the house. You could empty out all the personal belongings and personal effects, like the clothes, the obviously medications, personal products. If you have furniture and you have got a piano, tables, cabinets, dressers, there's two schools of thought. You could leave it while you're showing the house, or you can get rid of it, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to get rid of it one point or another. So I would say what you could do is talk to the siblings if there are any, talk to any of the family and friends, make sure everyone gets what they're supposed to first. And after that, really realize that you could go, you could donate. We have a lot of charities that will come to the place and pick it up. You can have an estate sale. You can have an estate liquidator come out. And actually, if you click on the link below, I have the 5 important tips for hiring an estate liquidator. So that gets a little tricky because there's money involved. They're going to get rid of most of the other stuff. But just so you know, there's ways of finding the best one for you. Anyways, so you might want to do that. You might want to have that estate company. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to try, if you can, to get rid of most of the personal effects, and I would say a lot of the other stuff. We talk about things in the kitchen cabinets, dishes, plates. I mean, you don't realize once you have to go through a loved one's home what they had, no matter how many years they've been there. And I have, from experience, I have dealt with that with my siblings, and fortunately it was a good experience, and we all did work together, the siblings that were here in Michigan. So that was good. Now, there could be a timeline you working on. We fortunately didn't have a timeline, and it was during crazy COVID, so we just chose to meet once a week at the house. So, but we had the luxury of time on our side. So if you don't have time on your side, do what you can. If you do have siblings, loved ones, other people in different states that you may think they may want something, I always think it's best to reach out to them. You could send them some pictures, a little video, just so you know that they're good and they don't want anything, because sometimes people come back and say you gave that away. So I always just say, for your own benefit later on, keep track of who you offered what you gave away. So I know that was a lot of rambling on about all that, but I just wanted to be sure that you knew the ways to get rid of the stuff. Okay. Oh, they also have like junk hauler companies that will come out and pick up the stuff that you don't want. Basically they'll call it junk. But, one man's junk is another man's treasure. So they say, something like that. So at any rate, that's what I would do with all the stuff. Donating it. You could, you could have a garage sale, but I don't like garage sales because a lot of associations will only allow them a certain time. And so if you were going to go the garage sale route, it would be best that you just do the estate sale route. That would be good. Okay. So that was number 3. Now, number 4, to repair or to renovate or to do anything like that on the property. So, so the point of selling this home is to usually close the estate or to set money aside for funds that will be needed by the person who lived in the home for their future journey, okay, so to say. So you're not really there to make a lot of money off the house. And if you are, then God bless you and good luck and have fun, flipping the house or doing all that renovation. But I would say for the many of people that I've helped in this situation, you don't want to undertake too much, okay? Especially in the market we have right now. We still have, we just started May of 2023. Inventory is low, and they do have multiple offers on houses. So you'll still probably do fairly well, okay? But what I would say is you don't want to look at the house and say, oh my gosh, this kitchen is from 1970. There's like nothing. Nobody's going to want a 1970 kitchen. That's not true. People are going to like the kitchen, okay? If it's functional, they may choose to do something with it later. They could always paint the cabinets. They could do something else. I would say, if you have an issue like a safety issue, if you have like a leaking roof and you think there might be mold in the attic, by all means get that fixed, okay? If the hot water tank doesn't work, by all means, make sure the hot water tank, you get a new one. Because if there's no hot water, then you can't sell the house. So any furnace issues, anything, if you have a leaky faucet in the kitchen, if a buyer is going to find it during inspection, it would be best for you just to take care of it. So I'm talking little things and things that, are probably handleable through what the estate has to sell the house, or hopefully what, somebody would have available to get the house together to go. So don't do anything major. I do have I have an opinion on paint, because paint is cheap. Paint is very cheap. Labor is expensive. You can paint. Just know when you paint, you can just slap on a coat of paint. You can also just, if you decide you want to prep the walls, you could go in and fill the walls and sand the walls and all that, and then that gets to be a lot of money. So, luckily families know a lot of people usually, and usually there's a painter in the family. So if you have like an area that you want to do, please by all means go ahead and do it. You don't have to. But I will say curb appeal for the house starts at the front door, or actually as you're pulling up to the front door. So I would say if you're selling in the spring, summer, fall, winter, it's hard because there's snow and stuff. But if it's spring, summer, fall, you want to make sure the front of the house it looks decent. If it's spring and you went through like a rough winter and there's the areas of bedding where there's mulch are not huge or expansive, then you can actually throw some mulch on top, freshen it up or whatever. If there's any, what do you want to say? If there's trash that ends up in the bedding, get rid of that. Front door, the handle, if the handle is like bad or rickety, replace that. Make sure the glass on the storm door is clean. A lot of times, buyers will walk up to the house, and if this house is listed with an agent and another agent is showing the house, they will maybe stand there and wait while the lockbox is being undone. And they have a moment or two to look around to see what it looks like. So the outside really does give an impression of what the inside will hold. And that's true for any piece of real estate that you're looking at buying or selling. So that was number 4, to repair, renovate. Now, number 5 would be putting the home up for sale and deciding on what to price it at. Now, the best way to do this is to research some comparables that have recently sold in the area. Starting out with a neighborhood, appraisers usually they like the closest ones. But sometimes you have a unique home or you have a rural home and that's not possible. So you want to start small and then, maybe go out a little bit, half a mile. If it's rural, we could go out 2 or 3 miles at this point. So you want to look at that, see what they've recently sold for. You also want to keep in mind, maybe there's houses that went under contract. You probably won't be able to find out what they sold for because they haven't closed yet. But you'll have a good idea if they went pending quickly. Usually it's around what they asked for, or what, if there were multiple offers, it probably went a little bit higher. And then thirdly, you'll want to include the active sales, because you're going to want to know what is active for what is around you. So that helps determine the fair market value of what's around you will be what yours is also. But what I was going to say is a lot of these homes that our loved ones have lived in, many years. I mean, our parents were in our home for 50 years. Thankfully, they kept a lot of stuff up, and it was a great house, and we didn't have too much to do. And it sold, pretty quickly. But if you have these homes that somebody has lived in, say they were elderly and they didn't do a lot of stuff to it, they never replaced the floor from 1940s. It's seen better days. Don't go pricing it on the high end, because you're just going to knock yourself out of the running, because they're going to be comparing it to houses that are priced at the high end. Again, this is true for all houses, but I like to price houses, and, this is just for me when I do mine. I like to price them kind of like right in the middle. It'd be nice to be just under what the active ones are, so you're standing out. But if you do have some serious issues with the house, if you price it on the lower end, sometimes you get the activity, and what'll happen is at the end of the day, it may go for over. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I wanted to share with you the tips for selling your loved one's home. And in the next video, I am going to cover the 5 strategies. Different than pricing your home, but these are strategies for pricing your home in the next video. Thank you so much.